I've never seen a fish that big.
You got all that right, Anish?
Gosh.
That was live, right?
Did we start yet?
Yeah, that's like a boardroom humor. That's like a boardroom laugh.
That's right.
And I said, "What do you think I am, poor?" The correct lots. What kind of an animal do you think I am? It's the Handsome Hour. It's the Bold Sports Handsome Hour, starring. That's what they used to say about shows. Starring Boiler Dad.
We should have
Featuring Anish the Swami.
Exactly. We should have that like opening.
Then I get like the "and" credit, just like they kind of threw him in at the end.
And no, usually that was like the most famous. That was a crowd favorite, right? That's
You're
like
right. The "and" credit or the "with" credit is a sign of respect usually, or like a little bit of a cherry on top when it's a big cast. You're like, oh, and Boiler Dad.
Oh, Jay Money's here.
Exactly. You're like, oh, look at that.
Hold the phone.
No one is watching though, because usually we have a first. First.
No, thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Don't encourage it. Anish hates it when I do stuff like that.
Don't encourage this behavior.
Yeah. No, we want exactly. We want a very mature, highbrow podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Let's
Ted Berkey's here. Ted Berkey was here earlier today. Clearly, he's just as busy at work as Boiler Dad because they stream and watch streams all day long.
That's it. Oh, I got the little thing right here. I got the little koozie.
Don't tell people they can get it because I believe we've officially sold
out. They're gone.
If you didn't get it.
We tried to tell you.
There was a limit. Not everything is finite, my friends.
Not everything.
I think everything is finite.
I think everything is finite.
Not everything is finite. That's true. That's true.
It's true.
Outer space.
It's not what I meant.
Is not finite.
It's true. Exactly.
To our knowledge, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Brian Ferentz's offense is not finite.
No.
It is limitless.
It's only your imagination limits.
Wait, strike that, reverse it. Yes.
Yeah. Graham Harrell's offense. As long as what I said to you guys during the game, he's great between the 20s. I think we'll all agree there.
Oh yeah. When you've got we'll talk about this. But when there's just a grassy field in front of him,
creativity abounds.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I don't understand it.
We'll talk.
It's almost like when there's not enough field. He's like, well, where do we air raid?
What do we do? What do you do?
Yeah, we're gonna blow ourselves up if we throw a grenade from 5 feet. You know, what kind of a raid would that be? You can't throw
analogy,
right? You can't. It'd be better if it were a missile, right? You can't fire a missile right in front of you.
They lost an F-35. Did you see that?
They found it. They found it today. They found it.
So the pilot, speaking of
makes no sense. By the way, that story makes no sense.
I've not seen it. I'm so excited.
The pilot put right before he ejected, he put the plane on autopilot and then bolted.
Well, that's probably a reflex. It's like, well, I'm not going to be able to fly it for a little while, so let me put. Oh shit! And once he got out of the plane, he was like, "Oh,
how did?" Those guys. That's the best of the best flying those. How do you? Why do you hit the eject button?
Everything
just to see what the ride's like.
Everything involving the F-35 program might be like, Purdue and Wisconsin.
What happened? What was the explanation?
There's no good explanation. Nothing makes sense. They're like, we don't know how much fuel it has in because how could we know that? The transponder's turned off. Okay. What? What the heck? Mission.
This is the weekly air raid.
This is the air raid.
Yeah, we're talking air raid all night. Wouldn't you love it if the answer was I hit the eject accidentally, but they just don't want to say it? Wouldn't that be the best? If it was like,
it's right next to
really
the eject button.
I thought it was the yoke, and I pulled the handle for the.
I think eject is like this.
It's either there or between the legs.
I think the eject button is right next to the autopilot. So sometimes when you mean
it's like cruise control and windshield wipers. Sometimes you go to put the cruise on, your wipers come on. It's like one of those.
Same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Motor City Boiler says, "Aren't you supposed to eject right before you crash?" Well, it depends. If we're talking about infinite time, this was right before it crashed, right?
Exactly.
No, it went for hundreds of miles.
It's all relative.
It's all relative. Time is a construct,
right? It was right before.
Relative to a lifetime, it was right before the crash.
Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They found a debris field, though. They said the debris field is the F-35. It was released just a short time ago. It still makes no sense to me. So I look forward to the explanation.
I look forward to the conspiracy theories.
Oh, it's coming.
That will be the best
It's
part.
coming.
It's coming.
On the X
Oh,
machine.
man.
They'll be
It's
good
handsome
too.
hour.
The X machine will have all of it figured out.
The X, Twitter X. Why don't we just call it Twitter with an X? Why wouldn't he just? He loves X, so why don't we just do that?
Yeah,
Um,
doesn't make any sense.
So you covered everything. You did a quick cast that
Is the
slow
quick cast
cast.
going to be
Can't be
longer?
called-
Slow burn cast.
long cast. Honestly, you know what's getting funny now? That's the length I wanted the handsome hours to be, and now you're doing it as a quick cast. That's the best. I always used to say 40, 50 minutes. You get people's
and
attention.
that was
you keep
36
their-
or 39 minutes.
It was 45.
It was 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Holy crap!
I love that.
I
My
talked
favorite
too
part
much.
was 16 minutes in. I looked. You were like, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. That's always I always love to see it because I know when it's live,
How
you
much
don't know how
time?
much longer. But then to see the finished product, it's great.
Okay, this is not a joke, guys. You guys will appreciate it. Maybe I've told you two this, but I've never told you on the air. I was at a corporate dinner one time with a company I used to work with. Two guys that I had worked there in my department. They put bets on how long it would take me to get to the door after I said goodbye to our people, the R&D
love it.
department.
I'm just
And they were like, one of them had like 22 minutes and the other one had 15. Okay. And it was not a big place. It's a microbrewery outside of, it's in Michigan. Okay. And not a huge place, but I am getting there. They're like, dude, he's going to get out of here in 12 minutes. He's going to get out of here in 12 minutes.
The price was
And
right.
they're
No
like,
one- no
watch
one
it.
would be
They're,
right.
they're like, I turned right before the elevator and I was there for 23 minutes. Yeah, I don't know how to say goodbye, guys. So,
This
there's
used
good
to
view numbers.
this used to manifest itself when we had the call-in show. Because we'd get people and they'd make a point and I'd be ready to disconnect him and he'd be like, there'd be this lull, the perfect lull. And he would go,
Yep.
so how long you been a Purdue fan? Where are you from? Yeah. What? I'm like, we're not interviewing.
Why'd you do
this
that?
guy.
Why'd
We're
you
not-
do
yeah.
that? Yeah.
And
I
then,
don't know. But no, honestly, the comments today, see the people that came live that far after a loss, those
Yeah.
are diehards.
those are loyalists.
Those are loyalists. All their points were good. I don't know if you saw it. Every
I did.
point was good.
I did.
I was like, man, these
Those
are all
they
things I
share
wanted
the
to talk
same
about.
illness
Yep.
as all of us and everybody who's here tonight. If
Yep.
you make this appointment viewing, then you have the same
You've got
illness.
a
You're
problem
infected with the
like us.
same thing, and I don't think there's any cure. More cowbell. That's all
More
there is.
cowbell.
That's
That's
the
it.
only prescription.
There's some off-color comments that make me laugh in the margins. So I got a problem.
I do like Motor City Boilers. Just one more call back to the ejection. He says, don't they have a window pop-up that says, are you sure you want to eject? Like when you're closing Excel without saving.
Oh, good.
You need that. You need that sort of thing.
This could be a life-altering decision for you. You sure you want to do this?
Yeah, right. You lost.
By
you
the
just
way,
lost
I
a
don't know if you guys
$20
saw
million
Jay.
plane.
Did you see Mel Tucker's officially out?
No, is he officially?
Well, they're preparing
Can't
to
ca-
fire him. They haven't.
I thought it was
fired him
done.
quite yet.
How do
I
you
think
prepare to
they-
fire? Do you straighten your tie and?
Exactly. They put out the press
You
conference.
shuffle paper.
I mean, can a guy catch a break? Can a guy catch a break?
Can't one guy catch a break?
You know what? Yeah, you talk about the fans who are making good points. I know you addressed this, and I'm glad you did. And I know we shouldn't give airtime to knuckleheads, but we're talking about college football, so it's all knuckleheads, including ourselves. But the fact that there are people, not one or two people, a lot of people, after 3 games talking about this being reminiscent of Hazel, and I also saw people saying reminiscent of Coletto. One guy said it, and there's no way he was even alive when Coletto was the coach. No way. And I just have to say, like, if you think that and I told a couple people this, you are loudly announcing that you know nothing about college football or Purdue football because
Right.
there's nothing similar. I'm not saying you should be thrilled with everything. We're not. And we handle it sometimes irrationally, but usually we're pretty fair, I think.
Mhm.
But is it not fair to say Purdue could have won all 3 of those games? They could have. It wasn't. They lost a game. They were in
One
position
score.
to win the first game. They were leading the
7
entire game. This past game, they were down. What'd you say? They were down 8 with not
8
that
minutes
much time.
left. 8
With
with
8 minutes left in a game where they where they fumbled or
7 fumbles.
and an
Lost 3 of
interception
them.
and a
Plus-
turnover on downs, at least 1 or 2.
There's conflicting information out there about how many turnovers Purdue actually had, by the way. Like I
Well,
can't
because they
figure it
got
out.
back some fumbles, so they're. I think.
Well,
It was
I know
four.
they
I think
didn't lose
lost
every
four.
fumble, but I thought it was 4.
I think it's 4. I think it's 3 fumbles lost and an interception.
Okay.
But it's just
Is
not
it good to have 3 turnovers that lead directly to touchdowns?
so
For your opponent?
21 points. It seems like good math for Syracuse for the other guys.
Right. It's very good math. Syracuse has a problem. Whether or not they win or lose, they've got a problem. I don't know if you guys saw this on
Their
TV.
fans.
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about their fans.
Their fans are bad.
Oh,
They're
really?
bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the
Think
thing
about
that
it.
I
Anybody
think
who
their
follows
problem is
Boeheim-
guys acting like they die on the field or got hit by a
They're like soccer
sniper,
players. Yeah.
and then they're back in 2 players later. I mean, they have multiple guys like go down. They're like, oh no, it hurts. It's right there. It hurts. 2 plays later, numbnuts is back on the field. I went on a rant. I went on a rant during the game. Just started yelling at number 0. He was single 0. Just started yelling at the dude, and he couldn't hear me. It was for me. It was venting. And I had people all around me laughing. All it did was encourage that sort of behavior. But I was just saying, are you hurt? Is it hurt? Here, point to it where it hurt. Tell us where it really hurts. I couldn't believe that guy kept going down.
Show me on the doll.
He got helped by both coaches coming off the field, and he was in 3 plays later. I was like, holy crap. Do they have miracle drugs on the sideline? Maybe Syracuse has the fountain of youth, and they're able to figure out all your ailments. Just go and rub whatever it is on there. Take this pill, and you're going to be fine.
We already talked about Mel Tucker. Hey, guy,
right.
Relax.
Magic Mel's ointment. Just came up with that.
No, I hate it. I couldn't hate it more. No, thank you.
It's horrible. I don't want that ointment. No, thank you.
You know, Purdue had more first downs in that game and over 400 yards of offense.
No, if you look at the stat sheet, it's awesome, except for the turnovers.
Yeah,
it's great. Like it's like a really solid game offensively.
Right, which that's the
which
other
makes
thing.
Graham Harrell think I gotta figure it out.
Well, it also
for
is
short
more
yardage, bro.
Well, it's also more demonstrating that you comparing this to Hazel. How many games do you think Hazel coached where they had over 400 yards of offense and 29 first downs? I would venture 0. I don't. Maybe that Nebraska win when they scored 55.
That's a very. Hold on, I'm not kidding. Let me ask.
He's going to ask. He's
going to ask.
He's going to put the stats department on it.
We'll get the stats.
I'm going to guess
stats
1.
And analytics.
I would just like to put this out there. My guess is 1 because they beat Nebraska 55-45, and
cleaning the forehead on camera.
You have to clean him before he's on TV.
Exactly. It's very clear.
He had a color war, a color run, something. Yeah. So,
but it's very clear that just the competency of this, just in general of this offense, or of this team, of this coaching staff, is like light years different than 13 and 14. Also, people forget. I think we got spoiled immediately by Brahm winning more with immediately with those players, with the players that in a cult, maybe not less. So that's the other thing, is that in many ways, Hazel left a culture of losing, but he left good players. There were good, speedy players on that team. There was some talent, enough talent on that team. This last year, a year ago, I think 4 of the offensive linemen weren't, or I think there were only 4 offensive linemen on the roster.
Yeah.
Purdue didn't have obviously coaching. Purdue had 1 coach on staff 9 months ago. No starting quarterback. It is that
right. That's a
Hazel inherited, or I mean, sorry, not Hazel, but Hazel left off, and Brahm inherited at the very least continuity. And I think Dowd made a really good point on the Quickcast, which was that one of them, just one in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was that Syracuse, there's continuity there. Fresno, even though there's a new quarterback who seems to be pretty awesome, there's an identity, like a program identity, right? And you're just slotting a piece in, and everybody knows who they are. Mm-hmm. Fresno and Syracuse are very similar in that respect. Right?
Yeah,
senior or the senior quarterback, Garrett Schrader, he's 24, and just torched us.
That confidence and you couldn't see this if you were in the stadium the way you could on TV.
Fakes,
So maybe
man.
you've seen it.
He's a wizard.
The patience with the fake, the play action, right?
Right.
And then he would stand there. He wouldn't immediately bootleg and run. He would stand there looking at
And
the play
watch.
like a quarterback would and wait like 3 beats. And then he would turn and run. Like to have that confidence, like if anybody caught on to that, they would have been bearing down on him. And he wouldn't have been able to do that, I realize. But man, can you imagine how hard it is to not just bolt? Like, you've got them all.
You've got big, mean people after you. Big,
I'm
strong,
saying to not turn
No.
to continue the fake.
That's what I'm saying. He knows that people might be coming after him. Maybe they didn't buy the fake, right? He doesn't know, right? I'm sure he's had fakes that have failed, but he's a wizard, man. He's really, really good with the ball.
He was excellent. He was the best player on the field for them. And honestly, and you called this out, their receivers looked terrible.
Awful.
Terrible. And if you look again, look at the numbers. They had only 184 passing yards. They had 271 on the ground. I think he had like 180 or so. He had 175. Right. He had a lot of yards. So like if he doesn't have the game he has, there's so many ifs in this. Purdue, like I said, more first downs, more time of possession. Purdue had more penalty yards, also hurting them. 4-1 in turnovers, and yet still wasn't. It's still if Schrader doesn't have that game, Purdue probably still wins.
But to boil it down's credit, there are games that Purdue is. There are close games that Purdue probably should have had, and it was a coin flip game, and it just didn't have. I mean, like that. I'd say Fresno. Fresno was a coin flip game between two similar teams, and it just didn't. It didn't go Purdue's way. That Purdue did not deserve this one. I mean, like no. But it's to the point here is that despite shooting themselves in both legs and both arms, they were in the game. They're 8 points down with 8 minutes left to play. There were good plays being made by Thieneman. There were some good plays being made by Helt, who was, the true freshman out of Carmel after Kadrin Jenkins went out. There are. I mean,
you got true freshmen playing big minutes. Like
Hudson Card fumbled a few snaps and had that one bad interception, but he was looking good. I mean, like some of his throws were unbelievably accurate, and so it's like, Purdue should not have been anywhere close in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left.
Hudson Card's not going to fumble it 3 times in another game.
I'll
put money on that right now. Well, I got something to say about Maki, but I think we might have something from the analytics and stats.
We department. do. We have something from the desk.
Yeah. So I mean, first talking about Maccabee had only 2 fumbles in his whole career before this game, which was against Fresno, and then there was another game early last season. And then also Darrell Hazel had 3 games total, which they had 29 first downs and 400 passing yards, or 400 total yards. And those were lost to Northern Illinois like 55-20 in 2013. Lost to IU in 2015. I think that one was close.
It was like 50-something to 30-something, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then lost to Cincy in 2016. And those
Wait, the first game he ever had? That's Cincy lost?
2016.
No. They played him twice.
They played him.
They did play them twice?
Home and home, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's hilarious is the Nebraska game when they scored 55, they didn't have those numbers. And somebody in the comments said that there were 5 turnovers by Nebraska in that game, which makes sense. That's why Purdue rolled it up. And I don't know how well you remember that. I remember it well because it was one of the only ass kickings they had. And it's amazing that it was over Nebraska. And Nebraska closed that to a 10-point game. And I remember if that game, that was one of those games you're watching and you're like, this game is 5 minutes longer. Purdue's going to lose. It was 55-45. And it had been like, I want to say like 55-20 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it got it coming.
It just the energy of the program, the continuity, or the just competence, the general competence of the program is like leaps and bounds different. And so we don't have to. And it, by the way, we're 1-2, man. Like it's 3 and it's 3 games into this guy's coaching career.
2-2, 2-2 by Saturday morning.
So. Can I make my? I think I'm going to get shouted down by all of you, but I want to make my Maccabee point. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Everybody ready?
No, stop.
No. Now.
Okay.
I'm so glad we've said this many times about players.
You were early on the mock train. You were early on the mock train.
Well, this might surprise you then, because I want to be clear, though, that we talk about this all the time. If you're willing to put on Purdue colors, then we appreciate the player. We appreciate them. This is not to say I don't like Devin Mockabee, because I really, really like him. I don't think he's as talented as he needs to be the featured back they're making him into. Because I think he's an all heart kind of guy, right? You definitely love a guy like this on your team, but I think we're starting to see, like, they're trying to do everything with him. They're trying to run him up the middle. They're trying to run little like action for him. They're trying to throw passes to him in the flat. And he can do it. He can do it. He catches them. He makes it. But Tracy is so much more dynamic. Like
So I think there's a lot.
Agree.
Well,
I'm shocked.
There's a lot to say about the interplay between the running back and the line, right? So the specific style of the running back and the specific style of the line, right? And I think last year there was more time and more space for Mockabee to work, and Mockabee works best when there is a little space to be creative. He's almost like a possession, he's a possession receiver, which means that he should be getting the ball, like he should be getting the ball in space or with a running start, not like with this line in particular, right? With Tracy, all you're doing is looking for the first hole and you're looking for speed, right? So that if a hole opens up, it's not going to be open for very long, and you need somebody to hit it with speed. This week, on the depth chart, I think it was released that they were number one running back. So I think that was a
this depth chart drives Boiler down nuts.
Oh, it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
It's
new rule. Got to have a depth chart. Got to make sure everybody's injured. You tell everybody, okay, everybody's a one. Everybody's a one.
Exactly.
Are they dressing? No, but they're still a one.
Hartwig, right? Hartwig was listed as a one.
He was wearing t-shirt and
playing.
shorts, man.
Yeah, he's not going to be playing this weekend either. I mean, it is what it is. But I do think that it is the interplay with the line is the way that I would.
Sure.
And at least for now, on traditional running plays, like Tyrone Tracy with this line, only creating daylight for just a little bit of time, that might make the most sense.
So you agree with me? Good. We got that on our record.
Yeah, exactly. But Boiler Dad disagrees.
But I disagree. I disagree a lot. But the thing that I think your first point is the biggest point, that the style of running and the line has to match. One thing you have to have is a line that actually lets a guy run. I mean, like again, I'm not going to disparage individuals, but this line is a patchwork right now. They're still not where they need to be. You look at some of those plays. Maybe this is where the angry fan right now is struggling. Okay, who do you become more angry at, the offensive line play or the play calling, right? Because the play calling, you got to say, what are my tools at hand? The offensive line is not giving any space on those plays, but is that because the plays are so predictable? Sometimes Mockabee gets a call, gets the call, and there's a lineman in his face when he gets the ball. Like, he's getting it's not any space. Barry Sanders couldn't get out of there. You need to get him out in space where he can make somebody miss.
There was, again, there are two players that had rough games on both the offensive line and the defensive back, left side of the line, if you want to guess, but just an incredibly rough game. And and every time it was Mockabee to that side, you're right. He had no time, and Mockabee needs a little time and a little daylight to really work, right?
Another thing was that they were giving screens to Mockabee, and he would throw it, and there'd be a corner on him or a linebacker on him right away. He'd turn and he couldn't move. Even.
Right. It wasn't just running plays.
The defense is good, right? I mean, that
defense is good. They're statistically very good. They're experienced. They've got a great coach. I mean, their defensive coordinator's great coordinator. So here I want to argue with myself a little bit, which is a lot of fun, but. One thing I said is these experienced coaching staffs are a big struggle for this young coaching staff for Purdue. Now, we were just talking about the Hazel staff. That staff was seasoned with a lot of veterans, and they were bad.
Veterans and Marcus Freeman.
And Freeman, exactly, who we all equally love.
Yeah, I mean, he was so bad, no experience, such a bad coach.
Right. So that's the thing. They had a young buck on there who was like a soon-to-be star. They had like what should have been good, but the CEO was pretty lousy. Yeah. And so here's what the whole thing that I want everyone to temper it. You just got to temper some of this with time. And there are a lot of Purdue fans, including people in our family, who are not really big into this idea of giving this thing time. The reason, so I'll tell you the thought process behind, I mentioned my brother earlier today. I'll call him out. He doesn't listen to this hardly ever. Actually, he was live last week.
But he doesn't listen to this. Actually, he listened live.
Yeah.
Are you still arguing with yourself?
He won't be on here. He didn't do that. He's not live. He'd start texting you and I, Jay.
Yes, he would.
But so his thought, though, is the product was in too good of a place to hand over the keys to a guy who needed a learning curve. That's really his thesis. And he has a problem with Babinski's hiring of this coach because he thinks, okay, he's going through some time to get his legs under him and learn his system. So Purdue all of a sudden is a teaching school for coaching staffs. That's pretty tough medicine to break down and take it that way. But I guess I'm saying that over and over as I plead for patience from people.
So I think I agree with that, but I think it's a good thing, right? So here's Purdue is never going to hire away a clear head coach rising star.
Whoa. Exactly. Whoa. What was Jeff Brom? Oh, I got him. You know,
got him.
Daryl Hazel was kind of like one of those guys that he was a rising name.
He was rising name.
But Brom was a little bit more proven, and he was the apple of a lot of programs.
He was the apple of a lot of people's eyes. He's older, right? He spent more year because he started his career later because he spent about a decade playing, right? And so he started his coaching
I think
career
he was the
older.
guy you're talking about Purdue not hiring. I really do. And
I think
that's probably my brother's fault. My brother's point about this.
I think that's rare. So for a guy like Walters, Purdue doesn't get him unless they hire him early, right? There are too many good schools out there with too much money that would be able to outbid, a job like Purdue. And so it's like, I don't know. Like the other part of this is like, yeah, Purdue probably could have gone out. It's like, so Matt Campbell was a name, which I don't know if there was much interest on either side, honestly.
I love Matt Campbell.
But his star is a little bit diminished.
It is now. Yeah, definitely.
He may have overstayed his welcome at Iowa State, but he's got a good record.
That's possible.
You know exactly who you're getting. And sure, that's a great way to 6 wins. But it's like, for 6 kind of fairly pedestrian, boring wins, which is fine. It's good. But the point of going this route is to accept a lower floor with a higher ceiling, right? I was actually because of a lot of people, because his name was being brought up a lot, and I spent 6 years not thinking about him. Daryl Hazel, I was kind of trying to go back to that 2013 hiring cycle, and looking at all of the lists and looking at what people were talking about, and really it was Butch Jones who had an offer on the table, and it was Dave Doran, Dave Doran, who seemed to actually have...
Who was my guy. That's the guy that I wanted. Yep.
Dave Doran seemed to have an offer from both Purdue and NC State. He took NC State, and he's been there ever since, right? Mm-hmm. After that, if you go at all of the attainable and realistic, like geographically, coaches that make sense, there was nobody that year. And so that year, all of a sudden, you don't get the two names geographically that make sense. You are get like the tier down to where Hazel was he had a 5 and 7 years first year, and then he went, it seemed like a fluky year at Kent. Right?
What's your line about Hazel? Who does Hazel owe his money to?
Oh, Dree Archer.
Yes, Dree Archer. Yeah. Hey, guys,
Dree Archer and he brings this up all the time that there are players that define a coach, right? Archer
we already talked
defined Darrell Hazel and made him millions of dollars.
What's Kenneth Walker, right? For
right. Kenneth Walker.
That's what brought it up
like
a week ago.
Yeah.
But
hey, can you do me a favor? Bring up Greg McManus's most recent comment here, because I've got a point here. Okay. So Greg says, after Hazel was fired, we thought Purdue was a job for a head coach on the way down, pardon me, Miles or a star coordinator. We didn't see Brum on the radar. Okay. Maybe Anish did. Okay. So the reason I wanted this point brought up was because someone brought up Miles in their comments on Twitter after the game, and they said they had 2 points that were absurd and silly. I'm not going to call the individual out. I hope she is listening. It was a woman. But she said, I've had enough, something along the lines of had enough. I told everyone it should have been Miles. This program's in trouble. And I was like, holy crap, the layers of wrongness and silly stupidity in this one comment. Congrats for going to a deep, awful level. Again, Jay, this is to your point. Some people prove their lack of knowledge just by speaking in certain venues. You don't have to say anything when you're frustrated. You don't have to get on the internet and start spouting off. You really don't, guys.
And be like, I knew it.
I knew it all
years ago. They should have hired
1 and 2. So this is over. This experiment.
4 national titles by now.
Exactly. Gosh. Yeah, there should be at least 1 national title.
By the way, Dave Doran, your choice.
The apple of my eye.
He's been at, this is 11. It's insane when you think about it. 11 years at NC State.
Right. And Anisha said he has friends at NC State or something that have never liked him.
Nobody likes him there. And but
really
you know why it is?
But he keeps winning.
Weirdly competent, but nothing above.
He's
competent.
a corporate hire.
But that's what's annoying. That's why people don't like him.
That's a great way to phrase it. Yes.
He's 72 and 50. Sorry, he's 74 and 55 in 10 years going
good
down
enough
to 11.
To me.
That's 7 and 5 every year, which is
probably what NC State should be. I mean, like, above again, kind of similar.
Never won 10 games. You know my measuring stick. Go on. Sorry, Anish.
But again, it's probably a similar job to Purdue and probably a better recruiting area. Easier conference to win games in. Like
absolutely easy. That's the thing. That's discounted.
Yeah.
The ACC is a pretty simple question. You can get up for
the Big Ten West. You think the Big Ten West?
Oh, I think so.
The ACC, yeah. I mean, like the
ACC, you can get up for a game, get down for 2, just kind of coast along, get up. We've just demonstrated this in the last 2 weeks, guys. Holy moly! I mean, Syracuse is going to finish in the top 3.
Oh yeah,
that conference.
Easy. Oh yeah, I think so. This is another year for them. And I mean, again, Dino.
By the way, some Syracuse fans are pissed to see Syracuse playing this well because they do not like Babers. There's about 30% of the Syracuse fans that want him out, and I'm like, you guys are dumb. This is like throwing Bill Mallory out of IU.
That's it. These are the good times.
It's not a great job.
It's not a great job.
Right. They've had one good run in our lifetime, really, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong about that? When Donovan McNabb and who was a great receiver?
I don't know that they had a great receiver, did they?
But it was like he's a good coach, and again, it's a good coach that knows his system that had a lot of continuity on both lines, right? Like it makes sense. So I don't know. It doesn't the instant reaction doesn't make sense. There was a reason that on this podcast where we were fairly optimistic, we said, 4.5 wins. Like, you could get to 5 or 6 maybe, but like 4 to 5 seems about right.
Well, that's what I want to say to people who are flipping out. What did you think this season
was?
Like, as you guys have pointed out, some great points about how patchwork this team, how many missing roster spots there were, how many holes in this there were. These fans getting mad, I guess they didn't know any of that, right? Did they just assume that you had a 9-win season, an 8-win season, and then everybody was coming back except Jeff Brom? Like, is that what everybody thought?
Yeah, I think so. So I think that's a big part of the problem is
raising expectations.
It's got to be part of the problem, right? Your expectations are raised. Okay. But at the same time, you're not, you got that's a great thing. I want high expectations, but you gotta, if you're going to be a big expectations fan, you got to do a little homework on your side just to learn some backstory. A lot changed in this program. A lot changed, and there are some good guys here, but you could argue. I mean, what percentage of the core has returned? That's a really tough thing. There are strands of those still there. I'm so glad those guys are still here. Guys like Yassine. Gosh, I'm glad he's still here.
Man.
My guy. I've been rooting for his success for 3 years now, right? And we're seeing what he's capable of. He had some catches in traffic that were so good, just showed strong hands. You always want a receiver to be able to catch with his hands. He was catching the ball with his hands with a guy draped on him, on his arms. He looks like a great possession receiver. He's got a great build for that role. He's not a burner. He's really good route running, really good hands, he's brave. So.
Good hands, good route running, good catching in traffic, and he secures the ball and goes down instantly. And after in a game when you fumble 7 times, I think that's
that's something we need. That's something
that was nice.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One thing that I don't know, people discount a lot. I guess it's pretty obvious, but O'Connell's gone and Charlie Jones is gone. Which I mean, that's what we're talking about, the core.
And Payne Durham's gone. And Payne Durham's gone. You have that's your three most important parts of that offense, and then Maccabee's right there, and then you lose
2 linemen,
3 starting linemen.
3 starting linemen. That's right. 1 to graduation, 2 to transfer. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's just pump the brakes just for a second. That's all I'm saying. Just a second, and I don't want to say we've all been really reluctant to say the word rebuild, and we won't do that. I don't think if we said the word rebuild.
No, I don't think so.
And we won't. A rebuild is when the cupboard is completely empty. But I am fighting myself a bit because I will say that Bromco didn't do a lot of favors as they were running out of the door.
Well, so here's an unfair question, Ted Berkey, which is Ted. It's the logical question to ask, right? Even with Brom,
it's a great question.
Would we have won more than 6 games this year? The turnover wouldn't have happened,
right? You don't know what the recruiting would look like.
So
you have Brady Allen starting.
It's Brady Allen, exactly. The downgrade from Hudson Card to Brady Allen is real, but
I think they sneak in. They get the 6th win, like as they're starting to in Bromvember, which is a magical time, right?
By the way,
here's the thing that's so weird. If you watch Louisville right now, they don't look like they have the tendencies as the program.
Well, no, they've played exactly 3 good quarters in 3 good
halves. Where were these hot starts? Where were these hot starts the last 6 years, Jeff?
Damn good question.
It's very fair. Very fair.
You got to ask which Jeff Brom is coaching. Like, is it the Jeff Brom that's like focused on the program, or is it the Jeff Brom that wants to go to Louisville the whole time?
That's maybe the best question because
I see.
Mercy, that's good. I love it. That's my boy right there.
Wait, so he wanted to go early in the season, but then later in the season he was like, I'm here.
Yeah, so I'm here. I can't leave now.
It's a little strange, but okay. It's the conspiracy theory. You gotta
judge. So we got behind closed doors. What we have is so here's the thing. In public, I will defend Jeff Brom. In private, I will eviscerate Jeff Brom. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I have been very frustrated with Jeff Brom, and Anish has defended Jeff Brom in discussions. And my brother has been another person who has defended Jeff Brom in discussions in a different venue. So here's the thing. I can do this. I always say this, we can do 2 things. I appreciate what Jeff Brom did for the program. And I also disdain the fact that he flirted with Louisville and Tennessee the way he did. I disdained it. I hated the process. I said I hated it. I didn't want to go through it again after Tennessee. I didn't want to go through it again after the first Louisville flirtation, which, by the way, that's a lot more than flirtation. That's like open mouth kissing. Okay. What he was doing with his alma mater.
The first Louisville one, I'll give you. Tennessee, they were on their 7th chance. They were like, "Hey, will you take the job?" And he
let that thing linger. He loved it. For some reason, his agent or somebody said,
his agent
let this play, man.
Yeah, his
let
agent probably. Yeah, but that's
what someone, by the way, Mark Garrity says we would have lost the Virginia Tech game under Brom, and that's a very good point. It rained that day.
It felt exactly like a Brom loss, didn't it? You guys would have been miserable. You would have had to drive back in your sopping wet attire. Probably would have made the decision to drive that night because you're so miserable.
We would have just left the stadium and left.
Yeah.
But I actually think that Purdue would probably the over under.
They'd be 2-1 though right now.
I don't know.
Brom was lit by revenge.
The evening,
right?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, he would have wanted to win Syracuse.
He would have beaten Syracuse at night in Ross Ade.
So the other thing though is that I think so. The over-under this year was 4.5. I think the over-under with Brom would have been like 5.5.
5.5.
Would have been a game higher,
it would have
and I
been 5.5.
probably would have bet the under on that. I would think 5 games, especially with Brady Allen. I mean, the downgraded quarterback would have been noticeable. Would Jack Plummer have come back? I mean, like again,
that's so weird. It is so weird for me to put on that game and see Jack Plummer quarterbacking for him.
Jack Plummer and Jeff Brom torching
Plummer.
IU in Indiana or in the Colts
in Lucas Oil. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like Jack Plummer, like this is a guy that personally I've always liked Jack because I talked to him a couple times. I like Jack, the guy. Okay. But I watch him play. I'm like, that's the same.
I remember
Jack.
him.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I watch him throw off his back foot, when I see him get afraid of a blitz, I'm like, that's Jack Plummer. Right. And by the way, he's like 37 years old. I have no problems calling out a 37-year-old college quarterback. How old is he? 25, 27?
He's
30?
played now it's so weird that he has played games for Purdue, California, and Louisville now.
Yes.
All in the last 3 years. That's the amazing thing.
Right.
But yeah,
he started games for Purdue in 2021, and he's on his second team since then.
It's wild. Defense stuff. So this is the kind of thing that you notice in stadium, right? Just how far back how much ground you kind of get it on TV.
They were showing it well on the broadcast. The way he would close, he accelerates, man.
It's incredible to watch a player
impressive
come at somebody at speed and in control. And he's like 19.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's built like an absolute dude. Yeah. So you've got a lot of things.
18, I think.
He's 18.
I mean, he's
a kid.
Freshman.
But man, to come downhill
we can find
and control yourself and be able to make a strong tackle that way, it's really hard.
You can tell he's the favorite, but he's Brom's Brom. He's Walter's favorite player. I mean, just because he's in the Walters spot. He's in the Walters spot, right? Yeah. The 25-yard deep safety, which is the Walters spot. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like he is on pace to be the captain of this defense going forward. The rest of the defensive backs, you could see it again better in person. And against Virginia Tech, that quarterback Wells was just not very good and was missing targets left and right.
But Garrett Schrader was throwing dimes on those fades, man. Those were right. They were in the breadbasket, and your boys were like, "Yep, I'm not catching that."
Mainly just 87. He dropped two out of 3 plays.
One of them was coming right at me, like when I was sitting in a certain seat. Like he was coming right. I was like, "That's a perfect pass." I'm watching the thing just drop in, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to catch it."
Yeah.
I don't know how you drop that pass as a guy who's played football for a while. Like it was perfect.
And we've spent the first 40 minutes of this, the first 15 we spent talking about the actual air raid, but at least the last half an hour talking about why not to panic and why not just settle down and ease up. And now it's the corners are a problem. The offensive line is a little bit of a problem. And the lack of a spy on until the second half.
They did it.
Will Held was the only one on spy, and he only started doing that when he was in the second half. To wait until the third quarter after a quarterback has gashed you for 150 yards already, or maybe not that much.
It was close.
But it was about 100 yards at least in the first half. Like, that's the stuff that's like you've got to make adjustments a little quicker, right? And same thing, I mean, and the offensive play calling, right? I mean, that's the stuff that's got to, these are the things where it's fair.
The short yardage, offensive play calling. Right. I really want to call that out because I don't think it's been bad otherwise. Purdue's moved 400 yards total offense. Purdue has moved the ball fine and with some creativity. Like, it's been exciting to see what they call and what Card does, and then they let some of it be his decision-making, and he makes accurate throws, and he's been taken off when he should. Like, there's not much to hate about, like I said, between the 20s. And then it gets weird. Maybe between the ones.
So do you think that if Purdue gets this Friday, if Purdue gets another 4th and goal inside the 5-yard line, do you, assuming that it's early in the game and the game,
don't try to go toe to toe with Wisconsin.
Do you take the points or do you
4th down? You take the points. Yes.
4th down. Yes.
I'm not going to try to run it through that.
So
line.
Here so if you could do Syracuse again, do you think that Would you have taken the points?
I'd call something on the outside and put people
They
in
did it
space.
once,
That's
and
it.
it resulted in a touchdown.
That's
That
it.
outside throw to
outside.
Burks.
Even the outside to Makavi, like a nice outside
Yes.
kind of
Pitch the
wheel to
ball.
Makavi.
Pitch the ball and put a couple guys out there in space to block for him.
And now you have the freshman Claire. Now you have Claire as another target. I mean, there are
He looks great.
There are plenty of
Yeah, he does.
potentially short yardage targets.
And you've
that
got Hudson Card. It's not like you have a guy who's going
Can't
to
run.
make terrible throws into the end zone the way, like, what's his face, the crappy ass quarterback the Jets are using now. Like, I can never. Wilson?
The guy looks like he's 9.
Yeah.
No,
Zach
Garrett
Wilson.
Zach
Wilson.
yeah.
Garrett Wilson's the really good.
He's the
receiver.
good
There's two
one. He's the
Wilsons.
good one.
Yes, he's a good Wilson. Exactly. No, but I bring that up because they won that game against the Bills in the first week. I know I'm pivoting here, but he made a horrible throw into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, and it was not the game-winning.
Yeah. Oh, Dolan net.
Oh man,
Dolan's got him.
the longs.
Does he?
Oh, you
did.
froze.
You
You
did.
froze.
Does he have a crappy internet?
The Big
it's
Brother in
sometimes.
New York or in Jersey saw that you were talking about the
That's
Jets and
right.
they cut off the internet. That's
It's
it.
the right thing.
That's
Yeah,
it.
they're
You
really
can't
look at him.
have it. But it is in short yardage. It's the issue.
Oops.
So who knows if it'll change?
Anish, because you can actually hear. I don't know if Justin can, but did you see Nick Chubb? What happened?
He gone.
Did you see what happened to Nick Chubb
Yeah, this is breaking.
No, I have
just now?
Sorry,
I could hear everything you were
It-
saying, by the way.
It's
He
the right
just
one.
got his leg demolished.
He's got his knee put on backwards. He got hit
Yeah.
hard. It looks like
I have him. And,
Huh?
yeah,
That is
it's not
bad.
good for him.
not good.
That
You
is
have him in
bad.
fantasy.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's like,
No, I saw it and I said that might be a career ender. And he said, "Oh, he's still young." And I forgot how young he is.
He's pretty young.
He's like Aiden O'Connell age.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. He's going to be the starting quarterback soon. He's going to be a
Soon.
starting
Yeah, because that
quarterback
Raiders
soon.
offense looks exactly as you thought they would with Garoppolo.
We can take this moment to acknowledge our sponsors, Home Field Apparel.
Well, that's a good idea. It's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even do an intro yet, Anish.
It doesn't matter.
So we've got Anish on my left and
I've got the
LBD on my hard left here,
Yeah.
but you've got Jay in the ether someplace.
They're in the
Thanks for joining the
He's
handsome
out
hour. And Anish, look how handsome Anish is in his Home
Purdue
Field Apparel
Department
shirt.
of Forestry shirt. Are you kidding?
It's a great
me?
one.
The
Goodness
instant I
gracious.
saw this one, I had to have
You
it
said that's
because-
got my name on it.
Yeah, that's not happening anywhere else on the internet.
He's back.
And Depressed Jay is back.
J Buddy is back and moving.
The best part of that was I could hear everything you were saying, which means I did not have a connection. I could hear
Right.
the whole conversation.
But
Yeah,
you
this
just
is like,
kept
said-
saying,
it's like
looks like one of your streams. What? My outgoing stream doesn't work, but the incoming does?
Incoming does.
yeah, that'll work. It's the
I
tubes.
guess that's the thing.
The
You do have
tubes are
upload
too-
and download
the
speed.
tubes are
but
too
I
full.
don't. Yeah,
We
the
were-
tubes. There's only
Tubes
room
are
for
full.
one.
Tubes are full.
We were just
Not
talking
like
about
Mel Tugger.
our
Sorry.
love of Home Field Apparel. Enter Boiled
beautiful
23
stuff.
at checkout for 15% off your first order. And at AJ's, maybe people on this podcast will be at AJ's
There might be
sometime
appearances.
this week.
Yeah, this might
Maybe
happen.
Tuesday. When? Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe
Thursday.
later in the week.
Yeah.
Maybe
Who's
later.
concerned?
Why
Who's
would
to
there
say?
be? Why would all three of us, potentially four of us, be on campus
I don't
at
know.
Purdue this weekend? Let's say Friday all day. Who knows?
Who knows?
Friday
Yeah, who
night's a
knows?
great time for
I won't be
football.
there. Okay.
Sucker.
Yeah.
I'd question the commitment.
Yep, I think you should. I do it all the time.
If this was a North
By the
Carolina
way,
game,
so
I'd
this
be
is what
like,
I was bragging about earlier the day. Home Field Brandon Apparel.
I love
this thing is magnificent. And
I
it's
love
gold and
that.
black.
One of
I
my
don't
favorite
have one
things
of
about
those.
the
Weirdly.
good people at Home Field is that Connor, who's lovely, is an IU grad and
Right.
founded the company, and all of their Home Field branded stuff is
Is
black and gold. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
Right,
There's
you
a
knew it.
kernel of
You've got
something
it back.
in there.
You've got it. It's really in here.
It's
I think
so-
really weird thing is his dad's an IU grad too, I believe. So
black and gold just objectively looks better. It's
it
just
looks
what
better.
it is.
It just
It's
does. It
just-
looks
it's
sharper.
just
You
what
look
it is.
you look smarter.
No stains. No stains.
Right. You
Or-
don't. Yeah. If you're like me or no,
Yeah, I mean this is
that's ridiculous.
Also with this shirt, I got a Montana State rodeo champions of 1968.
Right. That's what I was talking
or
about. You've
something
got
like
all these licenses. You can take your pick.
It's incredible.
It's awesome.
It's an incredible shirt, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I can't tell if J Money is reading intently or if he's frozen
He's
again.
gone again.
I think he's
gone.
frozen again. It's gone.
That's so good.
Gone.
I
didn't
did
even
watching the
hold him.
video. I think he's really locked in, and he was reading.
Yeah, me
He
too.
was.
think
I think he was reading. He probably. That was great. That's a great. But that may be better than the
So,
other one.
regale
was
regale
awesome.
stories of your tailgate experience. You were living like J Money here. You're living like a
it
millionaire.
was a rock and roll lifestyle. I had it was a 34 and a half foot. I said 36 on Twitter. It was a 34 and a half foot RV with a bump out, the retractable half bed. I mean, it was awesome. I think my neighbor, I'm not going to give his name because I didn't give him permission, or I get his permission to talk to him.
You didn't give him permission.
I didn't give him permission for me to talk about it. But it was awesome. And the funny thing is, I during the 2009 and 2010 economic downturn, I actually drove a school bus for a bit to get by. And you really need that sort of experience to be comfortable behind the wheel of a vehicle that big. And that's the one drawback of having something that's that much of a beast. You got to move it. And we took a great route up there. All country roads. I was like, man, this is the life though. Seriously, driving that thing sitting above the rolling hills, the
plains of northern Indiana.
The plains of northern Indiana. It was beautiful. Honestly, I had a wonderful fall drive. I got up there, parked that thing, had a great time.
The BS flag was flying.
Yep, the BS flag was flying high and proudly. J Money's RV is 34 and a half feet wide. That's a big RV, but 34 and a half feet wide RV. Yeah.
J Money is dead.
J Money, it's kaput. Yeah, that's great. But in his absence, we can tell lots of stories of what Jay might do. I mean, that's the best thing is take some shots at Jay and what he might have if he had an RV, right? It'd probably be gold plated.
Of course. Platinum core gold plated, accessories.
Yeah, it's going to be gold plated. He'd probably come back. I don't do gold plated anything.
Yeah, it's
gonna
true.
Be solid.
Solid. And the 24, where if things just dent and melt off, you just replace
right,
it.
Exactly. You just get more. Put it up there.
Fine.
Have your laborers put it up there and make it perfect.
You were the millionaire this weekend. So you're bringing that back.
It was fun.
You were bringing that back allegedly if, J Money and I were both to come back.
Yeah, I would love to. I actually talked to the guy who owns it. I was like, hey, can we get it again? He's like, no, it's taken this weekend. So that's one thing. If you have a really nice RV, you can rent it out.
Oh, yes.
And he does it. When he's not using it, he has people using it. That's why I was so generous of him to allow me to use it.
Awesome.
So it was great. But it was would whiskey flow freely at the RV? LBD could tell you there was probably a touch of whiskey flowing before the kickoff. Not with him.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Yeah,
get a bit of whiskey.
It's good. It's fine. That's what Saturday nights are for, and that's what Friday nights will be for.
It was a nice time to unwind, and we watched some football outside because that RV had 3 televisions, which it's pretty amazing.
That's how much you need for a house.
You do. You need. That's right.
One of my friends, she asked if she could come, so she was at the tailgate, and she said, "I didn't know your dad was such a character."
Oh, really?
She said that. Yeah.
Really?
She really said that.
People recognize me because I'm the only Purdue fan that looks like me, and people recognize him because he's the only Purdue fan that sounds like him.
Yeah.
Okay, this happened, Anish. You're gonna love this. Okay, and I told my story about running into Adam outside of AJ's. Okay, but how I ran into him is the best part. Something you guys will both appreciate. My dad and I are leaving AJ's. We're walking out. We get out. We turn right to go where our car's parked, and he says. He's walking in. Okay, he was riding a motorcycle. But he said literally he didn't see me. He heard me. He's like, boiler down somewhere.
Where is he?
He's someplace.
He's somewhere in the 6-mile vicinity.
And it's happened. That happens to many people. They hear the voice. I don't think of my voice as that odd because I listen to it all the time.
It's odd, my friend.
Okay. It's
It is.
hey, listen to that voice.
Giggity.
Yeah. It's like go Purdue. I got a podcast.
If you guys ever want a treat, just go to QuickCast and then put it on 0.75 speed. It's a lot of fun to
I
watch.
go the opposite. I listen on
rapid.
3.6.
I don't know how you gather information that quickly, Nishan.
That's my brain is just more dense. It's
It
just
is
filled with
more better than my brain.
names of dudes is what
Yeah.
my brain is filled with. And
So
I
just
can't.
dudes with me. So and
No names.
no names, just guys.
Guys being dudes, man.
Just guys being dudes. So Anish, you've heard my thoughts a little bit of what I think. I have pretty good feelings about the Wisconsin game. How do you feel about the game?
I am lost. I will not. I wanted to predict a loss at the Syracuse game too because but again, just like Fresno, everybody bullied me into it, and so maybe I'll just be wrong all season, and I will predict a loss, which will be nice. But like
Yeah.
20 years, 22 years has it been? Since
They
Ross
say
Ade
so. I exaggerated the numbers and didn't even intend to. By the way, I think I said it was 25 years and 20 losses. It's actually like 22 years and 16 losses.
I think it might be. Is it more? It might. Well, no. Okay. Yeah. It's.
I think
it's
you
22 years. I think
22 years, 16 losses. I believe
he's back.
Yeah, look, Jay's back. Great. He's back and he's happy. And
It's okay. We're talking about Wisconsin. It'll be.
Oh,
20 years, 16 games. So this is what is 20 years? What type of anniversary is that? And Greg McManus has it all figured out. Greg's always got it right.
Been counting.
Yeah. Listen, I don't do numbers. So
but
there is a special anniversary.
You've been talking about this for
I have.
you, and I don't get it.
The 20th. The 20th.
You'll get it. Well, you're gonna get it on early Saturday morning.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
like every
Easy.
Saturday.
Easy.
You know this is where I roll on Saturday, baby.
Well,
I don't know if this
China.
is real. It's
it's so we're supposed to give China to our
Fine China is the 20th anniversary gift.
China.
That's a lame gift.
China.
That's
Not that China. Oh, that's good.
oh, this is so bad. End the
I
streak.
just
What
don't-
was it?
What?
End the streak week. Yeah.
I don't understand the. To me, it's a little bit like Purdue basketball going to the Final Four. Like I know it's theoretically possible. I know
but
that
I haven't seen it.
I know
What? It's theoretically possible.
Well, it has happened in our life. Both have happened in the time
it happened
life,
many
not you,
times
Anish.
before the midpoint of your life thus far. So it should be like, that was a lot.
No,
I don't know.
Many times,
No.
multiple
No,
times.
that's early. That's early. That's a third of my life. No, that's not quite a third. But
Not
it's
you,
less
Anish,
than
but
half.
Jay is. I mean,
Ancient.
he looks like
Very
he's
old.
25, but he's a little bit older than that.
I mean, it's one of those things where you're
We
like,
need to
"Really?"
get. By the way, guys, we need to pick up some sort of. You guys, your hair is amazing. You two. We got to pick up some sort of salon or some sort of barber shop as a sponsor,
That's a
or
great
maybe a
idea.
hair product that you both use.
There's an
I mean-
AI generated version of you with a
With it.
tremendous
Oh, it's
head of
great.
hair. It's really good, man. It's really
really
good.
good.
And your beard
Yeah.
is browner too. so
Yes,
it's
yes,
great.
everything is improved. I'm taller
Greg-
in that picture.
Poor
Sometimes.
Greg
6'4".
McManus. He says his mother-in-law and her family are all from the Milwaukee area, so he knows the numbers. So this poor guy has to deal with Wisconsin people, Nebraska people. Like, my
Man.
goodness.
Does he have
don't-
IU in there someplace just to
man
mix in
needs a
another
beard.
red and white paint?
Well, they don't beat Purdue, so I don't think that would be as
Well, but
painful.
I don't
basketball, you
think
gotta do it every now and again.
so
10 years.
if you were looking at this from a non-Purdue perspective, Wisconsin's defense advanced numbers like Wisconsin's defense still. Like Wisconsin's defense is still as solid as it's always been, and Wisconsin's offense is about on par with Purdue's. And what you would think is that they would need something like a porous secondary defense that for a breakout game. That's if you are a third party or a Wisconsin partisan, what you are expecting is, hey, Purdue's pass defense isn't that great. Maybe this is going to be the game where it breaks out, and the defense holds. The Wisconsin defense holds true, and all of a sudden it becomes a pretty easy win because Purdue hasn't beat us since like the early 2000s, the early Bush administration. Bush won, and so it's like it's really hard to argue against that. Like I get it that they're a little shaky. Like their offense is a little shaky right now. I would actually take Hudson Card over their quarterback. So that's
No, I would too. I
there's
would too.
that.
I like Card.
But remind me, the offensive coordinator, or the offensive coordinator that came from UNC again. I bet that he was on the short list for Purdue as well. Like I bet it was him and Harrell, Phil Longo. I bet it was Phil Longo and Harrell, the two air raid guys that were theoretically available. And Wisconsin under Fickell is the bigger job, and it makes sense. And the two probably slotted where they should be. But if you're saying that Purdue practices against this all the time, it's like, I guess, but
this is the time to get them. This is the time to get them.
It's the one time to get them, but like I don't know if Purdue's equipped. I'm still not convinced.
I can understand this. Like to me it logically makes sense. You're like, okay, you guys have gone away from this beautiful thing that has defined Wisconsin, right? He's gone again. The ground and pound nature of Wisconsin football over the last 20 years, more than 20 years, right? You go way back into early in Alvarez, right? Yeah, I mean Alvarez's time there, they installed that right away. So you're looking at close to 40 years ago. This is what Wisconsin does. It's what they are. And you say, okay, we're going to install the air raid. So is this something where you say we've modernized our program, or is this something where you say, okay, now this was the colossal mistake? Should never done this.
So Wisconsin's in a weird spot, right? Where they got over the hump. They were a middle of the Big Ten team that had a consistency of success and then peaked enough so that if Super League ever happens, they're probably one of the last teams in, but they're probably in now. Like they have a much better argument outside of the big teams, the top three in the current Big Ten, right?
I have many people that take contention with your Iowa point, by the way. Many people.
What do you mean?
And by the way,
the
more I hear them talk badly about you and your theories, I love it.
What are you talking about? That Iowa wouldn't?
Because you had Iowa as one of the brands that would be in Super League. I think.
No. They would be the first one out. I don't think they would. I
don't think that's what you said.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, many misunderstood.
Wisconsin is in.
Many.
And that's the thing. Like, Wisconsin is in a strange spot where they are now probably the worst team in the worst program that still gets a bid into something like a Super League if that happens.
I think there's still too many variables to tell us is this Super League works out or looks like, right?
Even let's take the next version of the Big Ten, where USC joins, where Washington joins, where Oregon joins, right? They are all either in Wisconsin's tier or higher. And all of a sudden, you've got to differentiate a little bit. And you've got to really look in the mirror
Washington
and say,
right now is there, but Washington really quickly can be shaken to me. Because, I mean, like, you've seen them dip a couple times in the last 20 years. They've had some great teams, obviously.
Yeah, Peterson was.
I think they're a playoff team this year. I mean, they
look awesome.
Is a Heisman contender. Like it's incredible.
Awesome.
He's soaring right now.
Somehow Penix is rising still.
It's still he's there, man.
Yeah.
Really
and so shout out to
Penix has been coming up big.
Shout out to IU for wasting that time.
Right, exactly. That's the funny thing is I'm like, man, best decision Penix has ever made.
Oh man, I wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah. I mean, but so we were talking about basically the context of Wisconsin has to do something. Wisconsin has to relax. Wisconsin has to do something now that the other strong programs are entering, and going air raid to me is a way to do it. Like hiring a coach like Fickell and going air raid is a way to do it. They can always go back. Here's the thing: like you can always revert back to ground and pound Wisconsin because it's not like they're going to stop recruiting these big corn-fed linemen.
Right? Yeah, they'll still have linemen. That's what I've had. Handel Jones, who for some reason didn't tune in tonight, but maybe he's actually doing his job, which is important. But I don't know what his schedule looks like. But actually, I don't think he works at nights. Sorry, I didn't argue with myself. Yeah, Stan. Oh yeah, I'm good at it. Right? So, but he believes that it could be really ugly because they actually do the air raid correctly. That's his whole point. Is like he's like they've got personnel and they look the part so far. I'm like, no, they did not look the part for 3 quarters.
Give it 2 years, and it might be like.
Well, that's again my point. It's not 2 years from now. It's right now.
Yeah, it's no. Yeah,
in your face.
So if Purdue is going to steal one, This is the year. You're right.
If you don't call this in the streak week handsome hour, then there's something wrong in your titling this. Just title it for me, and we'll do it every year until I'm 100 years old and Purdue never beats Wisconsin again. But just please.
And PJ Thompson's still looking for Purdue's first Final Four. Head coach PJ.
Are you still not first? They've been to the Final Four. Nish, how dare you?
First since 1980. You're right.
Yeah. And there were like 16 teams in the tournament back then, I think.
Yeah, that's even harder to get there, Jay.
48, I think.
Yeah, nobody gets invited. It's harder to get to the Final Four then. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think. Let's see. Okay, which happens first? Purdue gets to the Final Four, beats Wisconsin. Ooh, that's actually interesting if you let that rattle around for a minute.
You know what I'm going to say.
Well, one program is a top 5 program in the country, and one isn't. So I can tell you what should happen.
Which one? I didn't ask should have. I didn't ask that.
One hasn't gotten close in the last 20 years. So
this is like Boiler Dad. What's more likely? Boiler Dad becomes an acrobat, or I become an astronaut? I mean, I guess one would have. We'd have to pick.
I would say you become an astronaut is much more likely because you can buy your way onto those things, man. I mean, the rich guys can get into
Blue Origin.
Yeah, Blue Origin right now. You can do this tomorrow.
I can go up in a penis.
Oh, perfect.
Shaped spaceship anytime.
I can go over the penis.
It's perfect. You cut off at the exact correct time, and that's it. You're back.
A penis-shaped spacecraft, I said.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's what the record will reflect.
You have to take a minute to save.
It's great.
I was like, man, they really like that joke. Now I know why.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Boilerman likes that one too.
Yeah, we're not.
That's a great joke. Yeah,
we'll gift Wisconsin some china, and we'll bring some fine china to the tailgate. And it's not. I would predict it's not happening, which means that it might happen.
Give them the gift of China. Knock it out of their hands and watch it shatter because we're gonna win.
What's it called? Florida State has like a thing where they break the rocks, right?
Yeah,
we got to get it and then break it after the game.
Exactly.
People will be like, why are they smashing dishes? It'll be like a very.
Here's another idea to replace shout with. Everybody brings a plate.
And just throws it on the ground. On your head.
We didn't talk about this last week. They do the exact same shout routine at Virginia Tech. Between the third and fourth quarter, they have Otis Day.
The order. So did Oregon do it first? Who did it first? I really don't know the answer to that. I really don't care.
Probably somebody in the 50s.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter.
I can tell you this week, I always avoid shout. I go down to the concourse. Generally, I'm making fun of something. The people doing shout as I'm walking out. I'm not there when the music starts. Right, I'm out of there. But I was just angry. At the end of the third quarter, I went down to the concourse and just pissed. And it wasn't about shout, but shout never makes me happy. So
I'm telling you, China, breaking China.
Yeah, come down there and just smash plates in the concourse.
Is a play Limp Bizkit's break stuff and start breaking
There's
China all over the place.
Yeah. But I just was amazed at the fact that Tech does the exact same thing and they have other things figured out.
I'm telling you, kindred spirits. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm not feeling tremendous about the actual game. However, I'm thrilled because both myself and the lovely lady are going to be back. She's going to be back at Purdue for the first time since 2015. So that's cool.
That's great.
And her one of her students that graduated 2 years ago now was like Pennsylvania. I don't know if they do Mr. Football, but he was like that or runner up or whatever. He won the state title.
He's a backup running back.
He's like a redshirt freshman, third string running back at Wisconsin. That is pretty freaking cool. Like if you end up getting your way paid for, like getting your education at Wisconsin paid for by being a backup running back.
Let's be real honest. If you play Division II something, you're a good athlete. Like, I'm serious. Like it's hard to get there.
His name is Cade Giacomelli. It's just a perfect suburban Pittsburgh name.
That sounds like an Irish name.
It's Patches O'Houlihan. Cade Giacomelli.
Yeah, that one ready.
And apparently he was like the fastest player like in camp like this this offseason. And it's like, here's the thing. Like, so last week we were seeing it just kind of down the line. In person, you can see holes open down the line. You can see Tyrone Tracy hit them. It's really cool. These are different level athletes.
Right.
This week I was watching the game, obviously on TV, and sometimes, and we got the NBC broadcast. Sam was, but the wife was like, are these cameras different? Like, why do they look so good? And I'm like, because we're actually on the high budget. Like, we have a high budget broadcast.
NBC's HD is like cream of the crop. It's awesome.
So they had some of the like almost eye level with Hudson Card as he's throwing some of these passes, and without, because it's 2D, without depth perception, what it looks like is that he's throwing immediately to a deep safety. But he's anticipating the cut, like you seen, like cutting across 10 yards in front of him.
So he's throwing he's throwing to the defender. It's awesome.
It's like I can't even do that. Like
they have the tethered cameras there, which I know ESPN products do that as well. But I was like, man, this is pretty. I watched part of it. I was like, gosh, this is great looking.
Beautiful. And you can really see it's just like these like teenagers or young 20-year-olds are like just so
they're different from us.
They're so good at this, man.
They're good at sports.
It's wild. The athletes, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you guys, so I didn't budge you. I didn't bring you over to my side at all to thinking there's a chance.
I don't think so, but Jay might.
There's a chance of a lot of things. Like I said,
you become an astronaut. You said,
There's there's always a chance that you can like slap the table and your arm goes through it. Like that. That's
exactly.
That's a physicist.
There's a chance.
There's a break China. Heisenberg. Right. Yeah, that's right.
There's a point that somebody said it. There's got to be an engineer that can develop a China that's biodegradable. So when you break it, the next rain, it just dissolves.
Like the ones they use on TV when you smash someone with a dick.
Right, exactly.
Those are fake.
Those are made out of sugars, pretty much, right?
Yeah, right. Right.
Corn syrups. Yep. Yeah. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. Say we'll buy, how many people are in the Ross Ade brigade?
Buy it for half. Let's just get like 20K.
Is it a sellout? Is it a sellout? It's got to be, right?
Yeah. I think it's sellout. Yeah.
Another night games. It's going to be fun in there. Just like you've said, night games in Ross Ade are so fun. It would be a fun time to beat Wisconsin. Not a nooner. Beating them under the lights on a Friday night when there's not too many other games on would be super fun.
It'd be the signature win, right? It'd be
an early signature win.
Brom got an early signature win, or like at least a couple early signature showings in his first year, and then
it was year
2 when he started beating people.
But right out of the gate, playing Louisville competitively after those 4 years,
signature
that's
loss.
Hey, it's competence.
Quality loss.
Quality loss, signature loss,
moral
victory. High moral
after
victory.
those 4 years, again, it's like
we were excited remember that night we were like, oh, we didn't get killed. This was amazing.
Right. After that, this is why I think that people that take his name in vain, Hazel's name in vain, it's like, what are you doing? Like you didn't, you don't. That was a certain level of depth where it's like,
remember how empty? In fact, one of the famous pictures I think was a rainy game against Wisconsin, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the Hazel one where it was completely empty.
It's taken completely out of context. I mean, it was late in the game. There were tons of people there. They all were dressed as bleachers.
It was during shout. Yeah,
they were all dressed as bleachers. Exactly. You can't
dressed as bleachers.
That's really low level stuff, right?
They were all wearing camouflage, and then you can see right through it. I mean,
that game. So I remember that game. It rained so hard in that game. I went to the concourse. My dad, his buddy, who's similar age as him, they were shivering. I mean, it was just like so wet. Like it wasn't that cold.
What's that like?
We are familiar.
But you guys at least had some warmth. And we're all standing on the edge saying, do we go back in? I think we're like, I don't think we should.
It's amazing that you guys were there. It's amazing that anybody who regularly went during that, man, you deserve like a badge, some sort of a combat medal.
Right, exactly.
I want nothing more. Jenkins out. That's an issue. I mean, like.
So how long is he out? Has that been announced yet?
No, but it seems like at least a game or two, and I don't even know
is he down as the one on the depth chart because that's the death knell.
I don't know why you have such a problem with that. He is the number. Like, is it because you believe a depth chart should reflect injuries too? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Is that the
So they've got, they really don't coincide if you think about it. The depth chart doesn't have to be accurate. There's nothing that says that, but there's a new regulation in the conference that says you have to release
because of
probable. Exactly. That's exactly
because of the
right.
money.
That is it. See, damn it, you're right, and I didn't even think about that.
It's because of gambling. Oh yeah,
It's gambling,
NBA
absolutely.
instituted this.
so the lines will be accurate?
And now it's part
That
of
makes
why
me feel
they're-
dirty.
the
Thanks.
resting stuff. Like all of this is because it's gambling, man.
Yep.
That's why. Why do you think that?
But speaking of gambling, I think it's only like 6.5 points that Wisconsin's favorite, right? Which is probably, again, we should get someone on this. Not that we want
Home
someone to put up
dogs.
gambling
Do we
line.
say that? Did you say home dogs?
Good work. Good work. Terminology. You're using the terminology
There you go.
Yeah.
But I they probably haven't been within a touchdown
of
on the
Wisconsin.
spread in a long time, right? I mean,
Things are
maybe
looking up is what you're saying.
yeah.
What
I'm
was
It's progress.
that
what
Brom?
was the score in 2021?
That
That one
I
was-
think they lost by a
the
touchdown.
That one- yeah, that one was
41
somewhat
game?
close.
No, wasn't that the triple overtime game? Or am I thinking of?
I think Minnesota.
I don't know.
No,
I'm just
They
thinking
played
one.
Wisconsin triple overtime at home. They lost
That was the
44-41.
closest it's been. That was the closest.
Okay.
it's
But I
been
don't
in
remember what year that was.
I'm-
That's
I
not
know that
21.
happened.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the game where it was like great first half, and the second half just like
That was the one. Yes.
But I thought that was the one that seriously. I thought 21 is Taylor's last game, and he
It
had
might be. I don't know if I have
298
the years
yards.
right, but I know that.
I think Taylor had 298 yards that game. I'm not kidding because like
Yes.
it was, and I don't think I'm even exaggerating.
That was 18.
198 yards. 100.
That was
Jay,
18.
you're talking 18. The
47,
triple overtime.
44.
Triple
lost.
overtime at
But
home.
that game, they were
That's right.
ahead
I
in
remember.
that game, the whole freaking game. And
That
then
was the one. That was the one. That was the
the one.
streak breaker.
And now you
And
can
it-
never win. That was
Purdue
the
was
thing.
up
Because
20
you didn't win
Purdue
in
was up-
2018. You can never
Purdue
win
was
the
up
game again.
24-13 after 3 quarters in that game.
And we were looking at each other and we were like, where? What dimension
Like,
is this?
what?
Yeah, what's happening?
No, they were up 27-13 in the fourth. I'm sorry. They were up 2 touchdowns with 7 minutes to go.
Listen, this is why I think
That's
it's just
why
gonna-
it doesn't feel like it can.
on. See, the basketball Final Four one and the Wisconsin one, we're going to be on different sides of these things because I will say I will be the forever optimist for the Final Four. Wisconsin, no, I am hopeless on this one.
I'll tell you
it
this:
doesn't matter how
Wisconsin
bad
football,
Wisconsin is.
you only need to have one good night.
That's
Purdue
true.
basketball in
Right.
the Final Four, you need to have a
6
good
nights.
month.
Yeah, good 4 nights.
So
That's a very good
yeah.
point.
The game I was thinking of was 21, and it was 13-13 at half, and then we lost 30-13. So
How many is that Taylor's last? That's his junior year, right?
well,
I think
he's
it
played
is.
2 years in the league now, right?
that would work.
I was
Take a look
watching.
at the box score of that game.
I was watching the Wisconsin
No,
game this
it was
weekend, and they were interviewing Monty Ball, and I was like, oh, here's another
Monty
one
Ball
that racked
hated
up
Purdue.
and racked up 750 yards in his
Yeah.
career.
Multiple
1,000 yards
200-yard games versus Purdue.
just against Purdue.
Oh,
Jeez.
that game that you guys are talking about that they lost 30-13. That was the game. Probably not the only time when they had 2 guys rush for over 140 yards.
Yeah.
Great.
That was Monty
different
Ball,
guys.
and
And
I think
Malusi,
John Clay
Ches?
one of them.
Who the hell are these guys? Malusi, Ches, and Alan
Yeah, he's still on the
Braylon.
team. He's their RB1.
Oh, this was in 18. Yeah,
Really?
No,
Yeah,
this
he's
is in 21. This is 21.
He's their RB1 now because I was just
Goodness.
looking. I was looking at their stats. Mordecai, who's okay.
And Mordecai played great against
I
Purdue
mean,
last
he's
year, right?
yeah, but this year he's passed for 700 yards, 67% completion, and 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the 2 games they played.
So, guys, do you want to know in that game that you guys are now making me relive? Graham Mertz, you remember the legendary
Yeah.
Graham Mertz?
Florida-
The
Legendary
one-time great to be.
Do you know what he did in that game?
What did he do?
5 of 8 for 52 yards.
Oh,
Awesome,
Wisconsin
bro.
ball, baby.
That's it.
Exactly. Why go
That's
away
it.
from something
Nobody
that
else
beautiful,
passed. That was
guys?
it. 8 passing attempts in the entire game for them.
You didn't need to do it. That's the thing.
Right.
The thing that Wisconsin figured out, we don't need to pass it. It doesn't matter.
Just
We'll
rush
still
for
win.
300 yards.
We'll just wait for
330.
them to break under the pressure
So-
of our 700-pound lineman.
We're in the guys naming dudes section of the podcast. Every year I went to school at the Baby Boilers, so 07 to 11.
Mhm.
I would like to shout out John Clay. John Clay is the most terrifying human being. I've
Yeah,
ever
he
seen
is a
in my
beast.
entire life. I don't know how he didn't make it in the pros, but that man,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
makes
know how
sense.
many yards. I should look up how many yards he had against Purdue, But in Ross Ade, it was at least twice in his 3 years. He gashed Purdue like nobody else. I think he was Monty Ball's backup, or maybe.
So have we named 3 running backs that rushed for 200 yards against Purdue?
They all rush for
JT,
200 yards. They love it.
JT, Monty Ball,
did it
John
twice.
Clay. Yeah. Monty Ball did it several times. He was looking so razor thin. He was the typical kind of NFL athlete that like the minute that
he
they're
looked
not
tall.
in the NFL, he's just like a guy, like a big guy, but like he just looks normal, right?
Yep.
And you don't realize just everything that they're doing, like just the
Everything
NFL
they're
players.
doing, yeah.
Listen, man, it doesn't matter. You're huge when you play. Like those dudes, when they're playing, they are different. They are different human beings, different specimens. They are incredible, man. These are superheroes.
Ron Dane, Joe Ensley brings up.
Right, you got
Dane.
the Wayback
Shout out
Machine.
Ron
Ron Dane, man.
Okay, well,
Guys naming dudes.
John Clay, okay, he had 2 games against Purdue, and one of them, his second one, he had 12 rushes for 42 yards, nothing special.
No.
But the other one, he had 143 yards, I think. Either 143 or 123. I just read it, and 3 touchdowns.
That's the one. It was in. I was in. It's.
Melvin Gordon. There's another one. Good.
We were like 5th row.
How excited they get when they see Purdue on the schedule.
Melvin Gordon.
Who's going to be an All-American today?
Braylon
All the
Allen,
running backs
man.
raise their hand.
Braylon Allen.
Graham, you can just take a seat. You don't need to. You're not going to need to throw the ball.
Yeah.
But to boil it down, point, maybe the less time that the ball is in, the more time the ball is in Tanner Mordecai's hands, and the less time it's in Braylon Allen's hands. That's the win for Purdue. However, the cornerback's got to make it so. The cornerback's got.
So Fresno State's running back in the second half, kind of. Was taken to Purdue. Fair? Is that fair? Number 33 in the fourth quarter. He was playing really well.
He was playing.
I think their quarterback was the one who put it to Purdue.
Right. Yeah. I think the good quarterbacks. My whole point is not going to happen this year, bro, and Purdue's going to win. It's so easy. It's really, if you just think about it, it's really easy.
Well,
sure.
Sure.
Well, either way, you could probably find a BS flag flying somewhere on
because the BS flag still exists. We learned this
week.
Yeah, almost like the exact story that we thought happened actually happened. But that's fine. Wild. It's fine. We'll talk about that off air. The BS flag will be flying. It'll be somewhere on is our lot on Stadium? Who knows?
Hoops can say.
Yeah, Hoops can say where it is. I think it's on Stadium. So just walk up and down Stadium, look north.
Just put some effort into it.
There'll be a car and there'll be people around it, and that should be enough information.
They'll be cooking. Come on,
they'll be cooking meat.
You know me.
There'll be a tiny bald guy.
It's loud. You'll hear. Yeah, you'll hear. Just walk up and down Stadium, and you'll hear.
That happens more often than not.
That's what we were talking about.
You talked about that. You talked about it.
When you were in internet.
When you went to internet purgatory.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have to say.
Well, hey Jay, are there any questions didn't we not even try to get any questions?
Nobody's impressed me lately, and we're at 82 minutes, so I think we've done enough damage.
We've done. Well, it's always great to be here with you, Anish, LBD, and Jay Money as we prepare for the streak to end in the streak week because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, usually Purdue plays on Saturdays, and my analytics tell me this one's on Friday.
Oh, so there you go. Purdue always loses to Wisconsin on Fridays.
Or
on Saturdays. And so this is a Friday. Therefore, this will be a dub.
All new ground.
All new ground. And so I'm excited to be there with you guys celebrating this game.
In the history of Purdue, Wisconsin, they've never played on a Friday.
Okay.
Clean slate.
Seems like it's time for change, guys.
We can if Purdue wins, we make a graphic like the Penn State one where it says Purdue has won all games against
Purdue
Wisconsin.
is undefeated against Wisconsin
on Friday.
We have to make that if it happens.
No graphics guy. All right, that sounds good. So I think we're done, and I appreciate everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Nebraska Less Handsome Hour. We were called out about that. No ISOs this week. None of that. Just good content here at Boiled Sports. Yeah, keep them guessing. I love you guys. Good night.